Hi, welcome to Dynamic State. I'm so sorry that I'm not there to be with you today and help build on the truly amazing and collaborative outcomes that I know will happen. My name's John O'Brien, and for 20 years I've been trying to drive the link between environment and environmental and clean tech and finance and how do we change this. My current role is I work for Deloitte globally. Today I'm in Singapore, a concrete jungle if ever there was one. But I'm helping steer Deloitte's global work with the biggest companies and the biggest banks around how do we actually make this work? How do we change this? And this momentum is really building. But I'm also a storyteller, and I published 2 books on this, another one related as well. The first was called Visions 2100, and I launched it at the Paris Climate Conference. And the most recent is Stories from 2030, which I launched in Glasgow at a really fun bar just by the river. They included stories from all over the world, from different sectors, from different people, from different views. And the first was about how to build a perfect world, and then the second was what foundations do we need to do now to make that actually happen. So why did I start doing this? 10 years or so ago, I was getting really frustrated. I was getting frustrated at the slow pace of change that was clearly a problem. And it was becoming critically urgent. We had the science, we'd had the science since Rio in 1992. We had the technology, we had the finance, we knew what policy mechanisms were there, but we were not doing it. This is actually a problem about communications and psychology and behavioural change. This was all about change management. So in the 12 months leading up to the Paris Climate Conference, I collected 80 stories for the year 2100. And also I spent a lot of research on King William Road in a nice cafe, and researched that psychological basis for why positive storytelling is so powerful. How do we engage with everyone? How do we overcome the fear of change? How do we make the common sense that I and probably many of you have felt for years, how do we make that into just normal? It's what everyone feels across the community. And how do we also acknowledge that change is hard and that some people are going to lose out? And then, post Glasgow, how do we actually integrate equality and just transition and biodiversity and the oceans to make sure that those outcomes stick? These are all critical aspects. More than anything, we need to stop telling people the right answer and stop waiting for government to act or anyone else, and instead create a vision that is so compelling that everyone will want to join us on the journey. That's the plan. That's what I want to do, and that's what I think you will do. The push of those with good reasons to drive change is never as powerful as the pull of building support across all stakeholders. So as the follow-up to that book I launched in Paris, I published Stories from 2030 last year. This has 82 stories in it from the year 2030, telling of how the decade will unfold in the eyes of those who are globally shaping that future. The key themes that emerged from that book were that in the early years there's going to be massive disruption. We're seeing that already. As the awareness of risk grows, restlessness is also going to grow. Why have we put ourselves in such a difficult position? People across communities are starting to get really angry and have been for a long time. The concept of climate resilience is also going to grow. We need to both decarbonise, but also adjust to the changes that are in the climate and are now baked into the system. The stories from the middle years were all around acceleration. Communities will increasingly see the value of nature and ecosystems. The finance sector is going to price in those risks and opportunities from disruption, and companies will start to radically collaborate across sectors, regions, and even value chains. And then by the end of the decade, we're going to start seeing transformation, and that's what the stories were there. Climate injustice will be fully acknowledged and addressed as we change things. Climate refugees will help actually provide valuable insight into what we can do. What a resource they will be for us. We will start to truly walk as brothers, as David Lammy, the British MP, wrote in his story. We will think in ecosystems. We will integrate health and well-being into decisions made at all levels. And we will harness diversity and inclusion in leadership that will bring better, more collaborative outcomes. So in the end, the 82 stories were overwhelmingly positive, if acknowledging the enormity of the task ahead. By 2030, we will finally be able to see the forest, and we will finally have harnessed the power of the exponential, as James Cameron wrote in his story. The key lessons for me, however, were two. There is no us and them in this, in any form. We are a single ecosystem, and we, individually and collectively, have the opportunity to dance with the system and influence its workings. We must leave no one behind, rich or poor, wherever you are in the world. It is critical that we do that. So, my dear friends, if you do not create a vision that is compelling to almost everyone, you will fail. Sorry. So the pressure is on, dear colleagues, but I know you're up to it. I wish you the very best of luck for today, and I can't wait to see the outcomes. Thank you and have a great day.